Hey y'all, and welcome to the video. It is part 4 of the XJ project series, and I am out here already underway with the rear brake job. And these rear brakes are really on their last legs. I thought 15%, probably more like 10% if you compare that to these new pads and how much material is on here. These are ceramic pads. There's these rubber boots, which is kind of interesting, on the back of the slide pins on the caliper. And they just have these little plastic caps. So I took those off, and then I've got this H7 Allen and put that in there. And these slide pins should just come right on out. And I gotta feed them through. But here's what they look like. The Allen inside, and interesting. There we go. Okay. All right. Bracket number 2. Pin number 2, I should say. And then get our caliper out. There's our pad. Okay. Looks like someone's put some Loctite on that in the past. Okay. All right. How about that? It's a little bit better. There we go. Yeah, I think this goes in, just slides in there like this. Yeah. Maybe if I close this valve while I continue to push brake fluid out, it won't be, having much air in there. All right, with that in place, we're gonna lubricate our little guys here. Just around. Okay, we are wrapping up this side here. Okay, here we are. Other side, we are done here. Try and get that grease off of the rotors. But while I'm doing that, I've got my turkey baster here. We're gonna try and get some brake fluid freshened up here. I'm on the fence about whether or not I really need to try to bleed these, because as I was clamping, I tightened down the bleeder screw, and I'm hoping that kept the air out. I think there's more likely that we had air in the first side over here, but I could find out by doing a test drive if the brakes are spongy at all. All right, fluid is actually not quite as dark as it looks in the bottle. These may be the original brake pads on the car. You can see it says Jaguar there. So I wouldn't be surprised, 100,000 miles. The ones with the brackets have it. Looks like OEM pads. All right, it's a couple days later. We are back again. The brakes were good, no air in the brakes. And in fact, they actually perform a bit better than before the brake job. So a little bit more responsive on the brakes. So I'm very happy there. Not thinking we need to do any bleeding. So we are moving on to suspension and steering stuff. And for today, we're gonna swap out the tie rod end here. And let's go take a look at our new parts. And depending on how ambitious we are, we might move on to the rear. But here is our tie rod ends. Looking pretty good. And here is our upper control arms. These are actually Lincoln LS upper control arms, Ford Thunderbird as well. That should be compatible with this car. These are from Detroit Axle. Forget who these are from. And then you've got the rear tie rods, which we'll get to eventually as well. These are Ford Thunderbird. And rear sway bar links as well. Working on the tie rod ends, and I just took this jam nut out, and I had to put this guy back in. I had this one disconnected for a while. So we are going to pop this end off, count the number of turns, reassemble, and maybe squeeze the other side in so I can at least salvage the day. Okay. All right, so this was like this. I'm gonna count the number of turns here. 1, 2, 3, 21, 22, 23, and that's it. 23 turns. I got our new one here. And it did come off when it was up like this, so let's just see if we can get her. Perfect. 1, 2, 22, 23. This theoretically should preserve our alignment, really. So they sent us a new nut. It's a little bit smaller, which is all right with me. All right, and then our jam nut, which I didn't have the right size wrench for this either. I was using a, where is it? 7/8. 7/8 line wrench, which is a little bit too big. To be careful with it. All right, there we go, my friends. That is salvaging the day. All right, we are back a week later. So where we left off was new tie rod ends, but was unable to do the upper control arms yet. I'm gonna have to totally remove the shock to do that, and I need a T60 Torx, and I don't have a T60, so that's gonna be in the mail. So while we're waiting on that, we're gonna start on the rear end. And I also got a cabin air filter, so we're gonna put that in. So we have the rear tie rods, we have the rear sway bar links. That should wrap up the rear end of the car. So let's see what we can do. Okay, so here we are under the car. Here's our rear sway bar link. And you can see that is not doing too good on the boots, all tore up. And then our tie rod right here, that end's gonna be easy enough, but the other end is up here, bolted into that bracket. And I wonder if that's gonna spin on us, and it's pretty tight with the trunk here. So we'll see what we can do in there. All right, there's that. So this side's gonna work. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to pull that off on the other side. So this, we're probably gonna need to reuse. Match them up. This one definitely appears longer. Okay, here we got the old versus the new. I've got them lined up pretty good, you know, with the bushing here, and then the height of them is close. Maybe we need to shorten this now a little bit. See if we can get this thing going. How does this work here? Smoothly. Okay. Holy smokes, one of them is in. It is now sway bar link time. So I'm gonna take this, looks like it can come off. Little deal here. Somehow I need to deal with this. Okay, yep, she's gonna spin. But with our 7 mil, they're rusty, or it's a lock, nylock is probably what it is. It just doesn't feel right. Man, and it's barely going. Barely. This would have stripped out the, this would have stripped the ratcheting wrench out. I just don't get why it's hanging up. I don't think it was even that rusty. Well, I had used clamps to get both of these out. The bendy side goes up top. See how it's kind of all set? Maybe make it easier to install. All right, good. We don't need to jack the knuckle in this case. Ooh, it's gonna be bigger than a 15. It's gonna be a 17. Okay. Okay, that's probably enough. Oh, goodness. That's good enough. New sway bar link, new tie rod end. on one side done. Well, I had a phone call come through and did the other side a while. Here's all of the old parts that definitely needed to be replaced. Tie rod end from the other day. So, everything's back together, but we do have this cabin air filter here to put in. So let's do that. Okay, so we come over to this side here under the hood. Take this cover out, pop out the old air filter. God. It's worse than I thought, actually. I didn't think it was bad at all. But seeing the new one there, there's our deal that holds it in place, and then we just got a ton of leaves, pine needles, and cypress tree and oak tree foliage. Well, that was easy. All right. That's in there. All right, it is upper control arm time. Time to see if we can get this replaced. What we're gonna have to do is take our ball joint loose. We're gonna have to loosen our sway bar link down there, probably just one end of it. We will need to take the shock tower, the whole shock out actually. So we got our tower bolts. We've got one screw here, nut, it's got to come out. We got another one in here. This windshield washer deal pulls out. Another one down in there hiding. And we got a big old T60 Torx that I was unable to deal with last time. That needs to come out. And we'll hopefully be able to drop the knuckle low enough to clear the shock out of here, get those bolts out. So here we got one of these deals now. Because I thought to myself, why don't I get myself something to make life easier? And yes, indeed, that makes life a bit easier. Really well. This has 70 foot-pounds or something of power. And that blows a lot of the competitors out of the water, so that's why I got this one. Oh. Okay, so she's gonna spin. There it goes. Wedge this behind the air box. See if we can get her going. This is 17 mil. And it's a nylock. And then down in there, we have one more deal. Okay, there we go. Add that to the pile. All right, so now we need to actually get the shock out. You can see this drop down. You can see these bolts are blocked, being blocked like that, so we can't get them all the way out. And there's the flag on them. That's what holds them from spinning. So we need to take loose this bottom big guy, and we'll see how that goes with our T60 down there. There's like a bushing down there. There's that big guy. Had a little red Loctite on it. Okay. Ooh, that dropped pretty good. All right, so it'll drop way the heck down like that. Son of a gun. They really made this harder than it had to be. All right. She is out. So we got the long end on towards the front of the car. The bushings, they don't seem that bad. It is a fit. Let's get her going up in here. Boom, perfect. Perfect again. All right, so before we jack with anything else, we need to get this shock back. Shouldn't back off because of the night lock. All right, now I just got to get our sway bar link lined up and on, and we actually have this job almost done. Okay, so our control arm is at a really good height to get things tightened down. If we can do so here. Basically, we were using the jack to simulate the height of the knuckle if the wheel was on the ground. Alternatively, we could actually put the wheel back on the car and then start tightening these. Let's see what's going on here. Yep, that's working. Let's pop this guy back on. Let's just double check on things. Get that tightened down, tightened. Everything's good. Well, I've been at this for quite a while, and this is really taking a lot of patience. But my clearance is so bad, and I only have enough room to move the ratchet one click at a time. It better be hand loose now because it's not clicking anymore. All right, we are done here. If you look at these bushings on the control arms, they don't look bad to me. They look quite all right. Who knows? It's the ball joints that are demolished. So, if nothing else, these needed to go because of the ball joint. Anyways, we'll go out for a test drive and see how we did. We made some serious efforts to get rid of the front suspension play. New tie rod ends, new sway bar links, new upper control arms. Shoot, you know, I think we made a pretty good effort. Replaced everything that looked bad in there. Rough road. I'm thinking we made an improvement, but don't think we're 100% clunk free. But this does seem pretty dang good. Yeah, this is not too bad. Better than before, for sure. I think we're in a pretty good spot to end this video. The main phase of this project is almost done. All we need is an alignment yet. So if you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.